the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night, the party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.
Nerderotic.com.
Thank you once again, Perry Chan, for those great credits. Yeah, I'm kind of rolling with what I did on Monday because that live stream was kind of a disaster with the problems I was having with the internet. But those problems are now gone. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear. Keeping an eye on that stream health. And welcome, everyone. Let's see who's here. Darth Derez, Stetson's Gold, Walter Snyder, Nikki D, NK33, Crazy Irish, D Artist, M Shelfic One. It's time. Yes, it's time. Mark Lurzeth and his wrench, Marine Boy, and Thurpt. What's Thurpt? Is that like a Jack Kirby sound effect that I'm not aware of? Like Krakow. Todd Tyler, Xanthipus. Xanthipus, I got that right. James Miller, Von Max, Sassy Marie. Hello, are you sassy? Nicholas Horton, who is a member. Mutated Genome, who is also a member. And the great Canadian wrench, Chris Persia. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we've got the Brie Larson rumor, which we will discuss. I want to pick up some conversations from Monday. We've got a couple of Doctor Who things to go over, some interesting Star Trek products to go over, which should be fun for such a healthy franchise. You wouldn't think they need to, use Etsy or, repurpose other products that you can buy at Home Depot and call them Star Trek products, but that's what they did. We're also going to discuss, the question that has been asked for 3 years. Why do they continue to create a show that is obviously not popular? Sure, there's always a small group of people out there who will like it, but that number is shrinking every day, yet they continue to go on. Well, the answer is obvious, and I'm going to show you something I shared with some of the Friday Night Tights people earlier today. That kind of says it all. And it's from Portland, by the way. It's from a Portland art school, which shouldn't surprise anybody. We're going to read some super chats from the last episode, and we're going to do all kinds of fun stuff for the next couple hours or so. So as people roll in, of course, there's the Mandalorian dilemma, which I have been really trying to get to the bottom of because I don't know like what went down or what sparked it. I think I do, but I don't know enough to call anybody out, and I'm not going to. That's not my place as far as the show. I have reviewed every episode. There's a review for the last 2 episodes going on Nerderotic Live tonight sometime, and I think I've been pretty clear from the beginning that I do not endorse Disney Star Wars. I don't recommend anybody get Disney Plus. Unless you really want to, it's up to you, but I'm not going to recommend it, and I'm not on board. Everything is not okay. I think The Mandalorian clearly has stopped the bleeding in the fandom, and like I said on Monday, out of the three, I was calling them the top franchises, but they're not. They are clearly not, and we've got a little bit of evidence that they're not, especially Doctor Who and Star Trek. But Star Wars is, out of those three, in the best shape because they were able to, I don't know, on the field of battle, stop the bleeding of this gaping wound. Now, doesn't mean everything's okay with me. No, and I don't think it ever will be, but that's my decision. And as far as being a fan, somebody who's actively involved in the franchise, watches all the shows, all the movies, buys some books, buys some comics here and there. You don't have to buy everything, and you don't have to know every damn thing about the lore to be considered a fan. But you have to be active in it, just like I equated an active comic book reader would be somebody who at least comes into a comic shop once a month and buys a healthy stack of books, minimum price, $40 a month. I would consider you a consistent comic book fan. Now, there are people who came into my shop and dropped $400 a week. God, those are great customers too. Oh man, James Santillana. Love that guy. $400 a week. Every Wednesday at 12 when I opened. And yes, I opened my shop at the crack of noon every day. So we will discuss that as well. But as far as the Mandalorian thing, I talked about it, and it's pretty divisive, and I'll reset kind of how I see it. And some people might disagree, and that is, you're right. I think there's two camps. There's a camp that thinks that liking the Mandalorian will keep Disney Star Wars, essentially. It will save Kathleen Kennedy's job, and I kind of agree with that. I do. I think if you show full support over this, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, but to fully endorse it, and if you use the hashtag the Fandom Menace over the last 2 years, I don't know. I would say that's a little inconsistent. But I also believe that an adult can have two independent thoughts in their mind, and they don't contradict each other. I watched The Mandalorian because of Gina Carano, and if it wasn't for what she did on Twitter, I don't know if I'd even finish the series. It's not a priority. I don't jump to watch it. That being said, it's not utter crap. It's not filled, and what I mean is it's not filled with identity politics and intersectional feminism yet. I think it's subtly, well, I know it's subtly being put in, but if you give us characters that we like, played by competent actors, and you have some competent storytelling, I think it's fine. The best I can say is sometimes it's competent storytelling. The last 2 episodes were not, and even Robert Rodriguez came out and said there was only 19 pages of script for the last episode. That means 19 minutes. And he had to add a bunch of action, which was 5 minutes. 5 minutes of action was put in. I was going to start this live stream with a video I cut while you were all waiting. It will most certainly get me a copyright claim, and it will most certainly get me 2, probably one from Disney and one from the person who owns the music I'm going to use. I'll do it later. And it'll probably only be shown on this episode and have to be cut out for the re-upload. And normally I don't really care on live streams as far as ad money is concerned. I try to put as few ads as possible in it, like one in the beginning and one at the end. Sometimes I forget, and you guys are happy to remind me. And please do that. Keep me honest on that one. I don't care if you use that pesky ad block. Use it all day long. Ads are annoying. Hey, I don't know how I started my day. I go to my email, having my little cup of Joe, my pre-cup of Joe, because I have like 6 or 7 during the day. And here was I don't normally get these, but this one I'd like to read to you all right now. And it is from, we'll just say, we'll use the first letter of his or her first name. J. It says, Gary, get a life instead of spreading your racism and false information on the internet. I don't care who sees this, but you need to stop. Sit down and get a life. And he says, get period, a period life, or she. Well, I am sitting down. I have a wonderful life. Despite, adversity here and there, that's part of life. I have a great life. I am happy every day I wake up in the morning. It's kind of a bummer right now because my family I'm sitting in this house alone. That's kind of a bummer, but I'm very happy to have all you guys out there. I'm not angry. I'm not even angry over Star Wars anymore. I don't care. I mean, that has been severed. My relationship has been severed. And to repeat this, I was a fan for decades. Star Wars was my favorite franchise. That and Indiana Jones. George Lucas was a god to me. Harrison Ford was a god for a large portion of my life. And it's only recently I still like George. I'll criticize him, but I like George. And I think he technically is a genius, and he has moved Hollywood forward in so many ways with mostly technical achievements. But I've never thought he was a very good storyteller. And I've known since I was a kid that there was other people involved that don't get brought up that much unless you're in nerd circles like, Gary Kurtz or his wife, who helped, make the original trilogy, especially the first two movies, what they were. But and buying all the toys and being an original member of the fan club back in the day, I managed to keep my stack of Bantha tracks, but I don't have much left. Like I said, I have a vintage set of curtains that I'm never going to get rid of. I have the AFI George Lucas tribute like DVD box that my wife got me for a birthday, but everything else I gave away. I gave away to my patrons after I saw The Last Jedi, and I was kind of done. And I didn't make a video for months after that. And it was only leading up to the Fall of Skywalker. But what this debate has brought up, when I get stuff like this in the morning, it's just, I have to read it. But honestly, I know other YouTubers get much worse than this. And I honestly don't get it that much. That's why I was kind of surprising. Plus, I don't know what I've done, what I said lately. I can't treat, maybe it was on the BBC yesterday, which was great time again. Thank you, Az, for inviting me on. I love doing that. Every 2 weeks, we do the real BBC bagging, boarding, and chatting. But when it comes to, so let's go the Fandom Menace hashtag. It's a hashtag used by individual channels, and it's seen differently by different people. The way I see it is it's a loose collection of individuals united in the principle of respecting the fan, respecting the lore, and trying to make fandom for everyone. Do we get salty? Sure. Do we contradict the access media? All the time, I hope. That's our mission. And that was my motivation for getting involved, is seeing the access media constantly repeating lies. And inventing terms like toxic fandom and weaponizing certain language and creatives also weaponize the access media. And Disney most definitely weaponized the access media to fans because they thought they could afford to lose some. Well, we're in different times now and they can't. So maybe their attitude is going to change, but that's not going to be good enough for some people. And I think people need to, listen, I think they need to accept that because the Fandom Menace hasn't been secretive about their motivations, these channels. I think they've made it pretty clear in thousands of videos, thousands of hours. I don't think much has changed. Read Disney Star Wars is dumb, Ichibaka, Data Racer. I think they've been pretty consistent with their arguments from the very beginning, and they were there in the very beginning. And the Fandom Menace, it's always been around. It's been around since the prequels for different and varying reasons. Now, there are people out there who are hoping this hashtag would die from its inception, and I've got news for you. 100% of all people and things die. So you will get what you want someday. Will it fade out? Sure, absolutely. But will the channels fade out? I don't know. I don't think... even the most hardcore of hardcore channels don't hang their hat on that hashtag. They use it once in a while, and that's about it. We got Stephen Walton. He wrote a book, but he talks about other things. Star Wars is not the main thing on this channel and never will be. Just because I don't care. I'm way more interested in Star Trek, Doctor Who, way more interested in Lord of the Rings, which hasn't been destroyed yet, but could be. We'll discuss that too. But for, I think one side, and I'm going on the extremes on this one. So again, one side thinks that an endorsement of, or liking The Mandalorian is an endorsement of Disney. And you know, if that's your choice, that's fine. But I think the Fandom Menace argument has been pretty consistent throughout, that identity politics and intersectional feminism have this Star Wars was used as a platform for Kathleen Kennedy's agenda, out of hubris, thinking that she could just sell anything to Star Wars fans. And in the beginning, she wasn't wrong. And that's why I mentioned on the Inquisition that I kind of feel like The Mandalorian is starting to look like a better, more drawn out Force Awakens. And if you look at the stories being told within each individual episodes, light is an understatement. There isn't a lot going on. They're not giving us a lot of information. You're just getting a lot of member berries, and they're pulling stuff out of the Clone Wars. Is this logical that Disney does this? Absolutely. And I've said that from the beginning. They need to play to their base right now, stop the bleeding, get things turned around if they want to make something out of this franchise. When I say it's dead, I mean it's dead in the sense that Disney paid $1 billion to have George Lucas's Star Wars. And what they did is they turned it into Disney Star Wars. Will they be able to make money off it? Sure, absolutely. But I'm not sure how much. If they're really going to push something like this, Let's Get High Republic, I mean, that's going to sell to, you know, Star Wars theories crowd. And again, fine, enjoy it. If that's what you enjoy, fine. But that's going to keep giving us that type of storytelling. The more you buy it, the more they will keep making it. So I think you can watch The Mandalorian independently and go, and this is how I see it. I just go, it amuses me. There's points that entertain me. I root for Gina Carano for what she does on Twitter. And for me, the news has been bigger outside the show than what's actually going on in the show, because I don't care. Boobgate was pretty funny. Then we had Pedro, calling 74 million Americans Yahtzees. And then this week we have the return of pieces of Boba Fett's armor. That's essentially what it was. You had the Jango Fett actor in some of Boba Fett's armor. Now, was it kind of cool seeing him kick the shit out of some stormtroopers? Sure. It wasn't bad. The stormtroopers looked laughably bad to me. And we saw Agent May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. acting like Agent May. And we saw the Mandalorian act like an idiot. I mean, if Pedro had a beef, if those rumors were true, I could understand it, because his character has fallen to the background. I think season 1 was much better because it was more focused. And I did this on the Inquisition too. I equate, if the Mandalorian is like the Iron Man of the MCU, season 2 is most definitely Iron Man 2. It feels like the same thing. I'm sorry if you heard some of that Monday, but a lot of people didn't. So. But as far as like a Twitter kerfuffle, I got blocked by half the people that were involved. And I think it was a lot of outside people. I don't know. And I'm not going to spend a bunch of time. But I think it did everybody forget the Filoniing? I hope not, because it's Friday Night Tights lore. Perry Chan's in the chat. He made the Filoniing. Oh, well, we did, but he put it together in something a little more coherent. And when we were done arguing, and it started out with Az and Jeremy arguing on Twitter about Dave Filoni's comments 3 years ago, basically talking shit about fandom. And Jeremy's argument was, I don't really care what the creatives say, and I just care if I get a good product. And as his argument was, no, I care when they're attacking fans directly. So, and that's the side I fell on, and I ended up getting involved in it, embroiled in it. But when it was over, it was over. It was over. Nothing fell apart. Friday Night Tights continued, and we had a good laugh about it, watching the Filoniing later, because that's what adults do. And that's what made the Fandom Menace, the individuals who use that hashtag, different from, say, SJWs who just want to block, come in, say their thing, block, leave, and not have an actual argument. Or I think Ryan, my internet son, said it best. I don't understand this incessant need for everybody to agree with each other on all things. Gina Carano put up a tweet last night that I had to respond to. She called out candy corn. And I respect Gina Carano as a person. And I respect her right to be as wrong as she is on this subject. Yet, I didn't block her. I just responded, ate a piece of candy corn, and went about my day. That's what the Fandom Menace is. We don't agree on everything. Absolutely not. But I think there's a lot. It's been fun, whether it's, I don't know if it's ever over. And if it ends someday, which it will, it was fun. I had a good time. We turned a very bad situation into something pretty fun. And I will continue to mock horrific television, and not just any horrific television or film, because there's always going to be shitty movies and TV shows, and I might like some of them, but I will continue to mock it when they think they have enough talent and and their hubris in, we're going to prioritize agenda. We're going to turn these platforms that fans have loved and cultivated over decades and turn them into a personal platform for our personal politics. I will call that out. And every time they do something like that, it ends up being shit every single time. And there are 3 franchises, Star Wars being one of them, which are great examples of that utter and consistent failure. But yet they continue to do it. Well, because the agenda is more important. So this is from a couple years ago. Let me see if I can pull this up. This is from a couple of years ago. And I saw it. Somebody tweeted last night about the IRS. I guess their staff has been cut 50% since 1992, which I think is great news. But this guy tweeted that, the only police that gets defunded are the ones who arrest the rich, because only rich people pay taxes, apparently, or get fleeced by taxes. I disagree, but his header on his Twitter was this. Here, I got it, my bookmarks. And I didn't know this was a thing, and apparently it's been a thing. Where did it go? There it is. There we go. It is from the, let's see if I can share this with you all. From the Pacific Northwest College of Art. Use what is dominant in a culture to change it quickly. It all has to burn. It's going to blaze. It is filthy and can't be saved. A couple of good things will burn with the rest, but that's okay. Every piece is a part of the ugly whole. Everything conspires to keep you hungry and afraid for your babies. Don't wait any longer. Waiting is weakness. Weakness is slavery. Burn down the system that has no place for you. Rise triumphant from the ashes. Fire purifies and releases energy. Fire gives heat and light. Let fire be the celebration of your deliverance. Let lightning strike. Let the flames devour the enemy. But the part I'm focusing on was the use what is dominant in culture to change it quickly. That is why they continue to make Star Trek. Plus, I mean, there's a streaming wars going on, and it's being funded. But I think it's become pretty clear over the last year what were first considered conspiracy theories are turning out to be true. We went over on Friday Night Tights about 3 weeks ago. Titty was a think tank funded by the Gene Roddenberry Foundation and the Pop Culture Collective. And they discussed what stories you can and can't write. And one of those stories you cannot write is pretty much Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars. Now, you can keep those titles over these new stories we're going to write. Now, are the people at Lucasfilm as much of true believers as they were 4 years ago? Not sure. I don't think Jon Favreau's like that. I think Jon Favreau's trying to play this as politically as he can, but I don't know. I'm not there. I've heard all kinds of rumors, and all I know is their actions, their deeds, and what they put on the screen. In the beginning, it looked like The Mandalorian just wanted to be this very simple live-action cartoon show that wanted to be as inoffensive as possible. And I think it mostly maintains that. You got cute little baby Yoda. You got Jango Fett actor wearing some Boba Fett armor. And while that is a cool member berry for a lot of people who wanted Boba Fett redeemed, I believe it was Ichibaka who tweeted last night, I wish they would have put, I'm paraphrasing, I wish they would have put that much effort into redeeming Luke Skywalker, which they might try, but it's going to be a little late. For me, Star Wars will always be Han Solo dying like an idiot and Luke Skywalker drinking a bunch of soy milk titty. And you can't put the soy milk back in the titty for me. Does that mean you can't enjoy The Mandalorian? Enjoy it all day long. That's fine. That's the reason I stopped buying Marvel and DC comics is even if I buy the good ones that I like, there was a Joker story out there I wanted to read, but I held back on buying it. And if I do end up buying it, it will be secondhand from somebody else. I'm not going to give them any money directly. I've been doing that with Doctor Who, and it's fine. But I'm not giving them any money directly because that will just perpetuate the problem. And I think that's at the bottom of, or at the heart, not at the bottom, at the heart of a lot of the arguments. Now, was there personal attacks on Twitter? I'm sure there always is. But this, I got up to my hour allotment last night and just said enough. It's not that important. I need to focus my energy here and on my family and stuff. So we'll find out. Do all roads, as Stig Kenobi said, do all roads lead to Jake Skywalker? I think they do. But I hope I'm wrong. What would be the best exit for Brie Larson's Captain Marvel in the MCU? Asked Nikki D for $5. Adapting Avengers Annual 10 and adapting Rogue taking Captain Marvel's powers. That was a great story. I don't think that's going to happen. So there's a rumor out there that from my good friend Doomcock that according to his sources, Brie is in hot water. Now, she hasn't left. She hasn't gotten fired, but she's in hot water. I think the one thing we can say is she's not popular with a large portion of the fandom. But you can't deny that Captain Marvel made $1 billion. I think that's an anomaly, and we all know the reasons why it made $1 billion. It was sandwiched between two of the most anticipated sequels of all time, and I can say with great confidence, Captain Marvel 2 will not make $1 billion if it's even released in theaters at all. And when it eventually is, I think the best it could hope for is $500 million, and that will be mostly based on international. And I believe when they do make a sequel, they will fill it full of Avengers and she will get all the help she can possibly get. Sound familiar? It's kind of like what they're doing with Doctor Who. Got confirmation the Weeping Angels will be in Series 13, and it still won't help. We have another returning villain for Series 13 for Doctor Who, plummeting ratings. Plummeting ratings. They'll be back as well. But as far as Brie Larson leaving, and Doomcock went over her fading YouTube channel, which we've gone over on Friday Night Tights. Some of the speculation was Gina Carano or Katie Sackhoff. People have been saying Katie Sackhoff since I was trying to think back to this. I think the first time I heard her name mentioned in relation to Miss Marvel was when I still owned my comic shop, and there was a rumor that she was going to be in the I wasn't even called the MCU at that time, but they were thinking about making a movie that was called Miss Marvel, or bringing Miss Marvel in for the Avengers or something. And of course, Battlestar Galactica, I believe, was no, it was just off the air, but her name got brought up. Her name's always been, but I can't remember exactly because it was a decade ago. But her name has been related to it for a long, long time by a lot of people. Gina Carano as Captain Marvel, I don't think that's it. No, I don't think that's a good fit. She'd have to dye her hair blonde, and she's a brunette. The Captain Marvel character has been ruined. I don't think there's much they can do. Whether you love or hate Brie Larson, it was also the writing and the motivation behind it. She didn't write the film, and even if Katie Sackhoff was in that same film that we saw last year, it would still suck. It would still suck because it was horribly written, horribly directed, horribly executed. And let's never forget what they did to Nick Fury. He got his eye gouged out by a little putty tat. And let's never forget what the motivation was behind that little plot point. We'll just take our baddest, we'll take the big daddy from the MCU and we'll knock him down a peg. And, you know, it blows your mind. You're like, this is your character that you built up, and you're knocking him down a peg for some trend, for some time's up trend that turned out to be a giant fraud. Oh, wow. Who hasn't been saying that for the last couple of years? The giant fraud that was a power grab and a big money grab, turns out. Alex Game, $2 Australian. Exozone when? Soon, I hope. Soon, I hope. Most of my real life distractions are, they're serious. I don't mean to minimize them because believe me, I don't. Have been dealt with, and I can start focusing more on the channel. I've been having to do a lot of stuff for the family over the last couple of weeks. And you will be getting videos again soon. Nathaniel Larson for $5. Hey, Gary, what old TV show would you like to review but haven't had time to do yet? Basically looking for a good show to get into. Hate new stuff. Well, Az and I are talking about Babylon 5, which I haven't seen it all the way through. I watched a couple episodes when it aired because it was just on TV while I was like cleaning my house. So I'm going to be getting into that. And when we do the live streams, we'll let you know. I think that'll be a good one. Nicholas Glenn for $4.99. I got blasted on our video after saying I thought Boba Fett looked fat. A simple observation turned into a shit show in the comment section. He had dad bod. And it's okay. I as a dad, I don't mind a little dad bod representation. That wasn't my biggest issue with it. It was more the directing by one of my favorite all-time directors. But I think he was in there last minute, so that might explain. And 19 pages of script. Hey, Gary, I appreciate your nuanced take on the Mandalorian. The Phantom is getting some bruises from within, but we're going to be okay. Take care. Your Nerd Cookies, thank you for the $5. It happens all the time. Yeah, it's fandom. That's what fandom is. That's what fandom does. It's nothing new, and you're right. Captain Spire for $2. Coffee is in the PO box the same? Merry Christmas. Yeah. Did you not get my response till last time, Captain Spire? The PO box. Well, it's the same one since I moved down here. Captain Spire. So there, it's on nerdrotic.com. You can double check there. And thank you for the coffee. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. Where do we want to go? Oh, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. But yeah, as far as the Brie Larson rumor goes on, I didn't finish my thought there. Sorry. As far as Brie Larson leaving, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Is she in hot water, or are they? I think it might be more of they are actually looking at the data, looking at the real numbers instead of the looking at the world through the rose-tinted Mickey Mouse sunglasses that Disney likes to do. They do not like to admit failure. I've criticized AT&T for their desperate moves. You know, they're $160 billion in debt, but they had to make some moves. They had to do something. They had to pull the trigger. And DC Comics did the same. You know, in the beginning of the comic book crisis, they had to do something. They risked pissing off all the comic shops because they knew they didn't have a future, and they can't wait for the comic shops to eventually come together and formulate a plan that will never happen because, I mean, comic shops have been trying to unite for before I got involved and after I got involved, and they can't. They just flat out can't. And part of the problem with the comic shops is the power structure. The people who have the power in that industry are strictly in it for themselves, and they're not really about helping other people. So DC has named, so you remember I Am Not Starfire from last week, right? That wonderful image. And that was on the heels of the wonderful image of Captain Marvel, on the heels of Fat Wonder Woman, on the heels of Snowflake and Safe Space. Well, DC has a solution for you. DC is going to turn things around. Mariko Tamaki is now going to write one of the oldest and longest running comic book series of all time, Detective Comics. She's good. That's right. Mariko Tamaki, creator and writer of I Am Not Starfire, is going to write Detective Comics. DC names new Detective Comics creative team. DC reveals who will be writing and drawing Detective Comics when comic book's longest tenured ongoing series returns in March. Continuing an expected trend, Sunday afternoon, DC revealed writer Mariko Tamaki and artist Dan Mora will be the new creative team for Detective Comics when the ongoing series returns to the publisher's schedule with issue 1034 on March 24th. And like almost all the DC titles launched or returning after Future State revealed so far, Tamaki and Mora are reunited as its creative team after pairing on the lead, after pairing on the lead Bruce Wayne feature in January and February's Future State Dark Detective Anthology Limited Series. Tamaki and Mora previously teamed up for a contemporary Batman Bruce Wayne story, The Gift, for the Celebration Anthology format, Detective Comics 1027, earlier in 2020. Newsarama has already confirmed James Tinian, is that fourth or fifth, and Jorge Jimenez will continue as the creative team on the flagship Batman title, which may or may not be good. I don't know because I don't buy these books. Mariko Tamaki. Let's see if I can pull up a picture of Mariko. She's a YA writer who came in. Your boy Zach has reviewed a lot of her books. I think he's even liked some of them. This is, I don't think this is going to help. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this isn't going to help save the comic book industry. There you go. What do you think? And that's why I haven't really done any comic book videos lately, because it's just depressing how disconnected and how petty they are in this industry. And it's always been kind of a petty industry, but it succeeded despite itself. But now its flaws are exposed and they are a gaping wound. And while comic shops had the power to stop stuff like this and fine, write the book, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me anymore. But you would think, for one, there are, if you need a female writer, there are ones out there still that are better than Mariko Tamaki. They really pushed hard for this YA thing, and that was because of Scholastic. Well, the Scholastic bubble has burst, partially because you can't send kids to school anymore. So you don't have that captive audience. And what the industry has been doing is conflating manga sales and sales from these YA novels, which I don't know how well they're going to sell now. As far as bookstores are concerned, I think they're open here where I am, so you can go in to a bookstore and buy them. But I had a brief conversation 2 weeks ago. Some of you may have heard that I talked to a comic shop owner here in San Diego who had his best year ever because he was selling back issues like they're going out of style. And it's not just key back issues. It's all back issues, and anything from about 10 to 15 years ago and down. Best year ever. He still sells new comics, but his philosophy on it that market hasn't grown, will not grow. You'll sell the same ones to the same people until those people age out, burn out, because it inevitably happens. And what's really driving the market still is what's left of the speculators with variants, which hasn't changed since I left, and that's 6 years ago now. And the other is completionists, collectors who just have to have every issue. And I understand it's an OCD thing that I completely understand. But you know what? Hey, she has every right to write this book. She took a job. I don't blame her. I blame DC. And good luck. We'll see how those sales do. Az and I went over it yesterday, and I believe the last detective comic that came out while stores were still open, it sold roughly 40,000 copies. That's including all the variants. Now, what they do, if you're not familiar with comic books, is they'll put a different cover on the same book, so you buy 5 of the same books, 5 of the same book. And depending on your amount of variants, it's usually, it used to be 1 or 2. Now it's between 5 and 20. I don't know. But if you go to how many books sold, how many books were read, okay, not how many books were sold, how many books were actually read. And by the way, that number I gave you that's the number comic shops order. That's not the amount actually sold. Out of the 40,000, I estimate 30,000 were sold because it's a Batman title. I'll aim a little high. And I estimate 18 to 20,000 were actually read. Individual issues were read. So in reality, Detective Comics was selling about 20,000 books. And they have to rely on gimmicks. And these aren't even good gimmicks. I mean, I long for the gimmicks of the 90s with the foil cover or the embossed cover or the Ramones cassette tape in a poly bag. Those were the good old days. Those days are gone, never coming back. But congratulations, Mariko Tamaki. I'm sure you earned that position. Mm-hmm. And, there is an attitude out there, and I talked to my doctor. You got to be kidding me. Somebody's at the door. Don't go anywhere. Somebody's at the door, so hang on. Right there.
The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.
Okay. Hopefully I didn't lose too many people there, but if I did, oh well. That was a shipment that I was waiting for yesterday for BBC, which just showed up now. So there you go. Where was I? Oh, I was talking about Mariko Tamaki. Yeah, Mariko Tamaki got her job because she was a female YA writer, and they haven't been able to find any female comic book writers because there's not enough women actually into comic books. Are we not allowed to say that? Oops, I don't give a shit. If there was that many women in comic books, superhero comic books, floppy superhero comic books who were interested in writing superhero stories, Gail Simone, as much as I don't like her, was capable of doing that in the past. But what has happened is they're platforms now. Everything's a mother effing platform. So I have no time for it. Not going to spend, and again, former comic shop owner, lifelong comic book fan. I have thousands of comic books, plenty I haven't read that can last me the rest of my life. And quite frankly, looking for back issues is a lot more fun than reading the garbage now. And we were comparing, I was looking at Starlin art yesterday in a Captain Marvel comic, and it doesn't even compare. It's gone so far down that, relapsing, because I'm clean and sober, but I had the most well-timed relapse of all time. Got me out of the comic book industry at the perfect time. December of 2013, which was about a year before everything went to shit. All right. Hey, we didn't lose that many people. That's good. Very happy about that. Thanks for sticking in there. What did I just get? I got a shipment of Savage Sword of Conan. I have a lot of the issues, but somebody was selling a complete run for a dirt cheap price, and I just pulled the trigger. I had to. So I'll show those off in 2 weeks. Mr. Bentham for $2. Jay is Jeremy. You can be honest with us. Jay is Jeremy. Jay is Jeremy. Mr. Bentham, give me context on that one. I'm obviously missing the joke there, but that's on me. That's not on you. Lots of drugs in the 80s. I'm a Gen Xer. I get accused of doing a lot of boomer shit because my brain is Swiss cheese, basically. Maybe somebody already covered this. Do you think the drive-in theaters were going to be a possibility for us? Oh, yeah. I've got one I've got one near me, but that's too much land. It's too expensive. So it's not going to be enough to save movie theaters. Movie theaters are dead. They're dead. They're not, they're now when I say dead, you're going to go to movies someday. There will be mom and pop movie theaters, but as far as the chain, the theater chain that has to go somewhere like in downtown San Francisco or downtown LA and lease a piece of property at $250,000 a month, that's not going to happen. They don't make enough money. It's not practical. What Warner Brothers did was they sucker punched Hollywood. And as I said in my title, they're hosed. They're absolutely hosed. Now, I think we find out tomorrow what Disney's going to do. I'll tell you what Disney's going to have to do, what Warner Brothers did. They might try to fight it. They might try to do something different, but Warner Brothers just set the pace for Hollywood. And Chris Nolan is pissed off. The makers of Dune are pissed off, and they have every reason because Warner Brothers just canceled the fucking Dune sequel. Now, if it does continue, it'll be a TV series. It will not be a film, which probably would be better, to be honest with you. And that's why 2 years ago, I focused my channel on covering prestige television. And that's what I like. That's what I prefer to watch because you get more story, more characterization. And outside of the MCU, there hasn't been many movies I like. Now, the occasional, Ford versus Ferrari, 1917. Those are brilliant. And I think we'll get those Joker, yeah, it's done. And will Warner Brothers get a bunch of subs out of this? Yes, of course they will. But is it going to trickle down? Is it going to help something like Doctor Who? Oh, hell no. As a matter of fact, it'll hurt Doctor Who because the more people see Doctor Who, the more people will realize it's utter shit. It's utter shit. By the way, I'm going to spoil a little bit of my next video. Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. But we're amongst friends here, and I don't like to hold back with you guys. Well, for one, I'll talk about whatever hits my brain because that's the way it is. So where was this fan? You guys heard it? Have you ever heard of it's called Fansided. So it's Sports Illustrated has a bunch of websites that are specialized for teams, for your sports ball team, or for your show. So they have one called Doctor Who Watch. Susan Layton, who used to co-host a show with me, she runs the, I think she still does. I haven't talked to her in forever. 1428 Elm site. That's a Fansided site. So Fansided ran a list of the 250 most popular fandoms, or the most healthy fandoms. Guess where Doctor Who landed on that one. Just take a guess. I'll let you guys guess in the chat. And guess where Star Trek landed on that one too. And what they did is they included everything. Sports ball teams, pop stars, movie stars, anybody who is an influencer, left out YouTubers, that's fine. They included pretty much everybody in pop culture. So where do you think Doctor Who landed? Give me a number, folks. I know there's a delay. So Scorsese was ahead of the curve with the last year's Irishman. Ironic. Yeah, kind of. Proven 22X says 250. You are not that far off. 249, not that far off, but no, 251. That's where I think it is. 249. I'm waiting to see if somebody gets it right. 225. You're close. You're getting warm. 69. All right, I'll tell you. 201. 200 and fracking 1. So much so that their own website's like, oh, I don't know what happened. This year's Fansided 250 has been revealed, but where does Doctor Who rank in the list of fandoms, and how does it compare to previous years? If you've been following Fanside, which I haven't, it has various fan sites. It's had various fan sites for a while. Then you're probably aware that of this Fansided 250. If not, let me explain. Every year Fansided lists its hottest and most talked about fandoms, covering a wide range of interests, including various sports, films, games, and of course, TV series. By the way, the San Diego Loyal was above Doctor Who. I have never heard of the San Diego Loyal. I live in San Diego, and I have never heard of the San Diego Loyal. I guess it's our soccer team. I don't know why they're not called the San Diego Sockers, because that's what the San Diego Soccer team was back in the day. But they finished ahead of Doctor Who. So films, games, of course, TV series. The Fansided 250 is a fascinating look at the most passionate and dedicated of fandoms. Now, they probably pulled this shit out of their ass. I don't care, but it's still funny. Naturally, we think that Doctor Who fandom should be number one, especially this year. What? Whatever fans think of this year's series. No. You don't get to say whatever fans think of this year. No. You could make an argument about Series 11, Series 12. That has to enter every argument, every factor. Chris Chibnall made it that way. He decided to insert himself and the first female doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, who we will lovingly call Dr. Karen, into the very fabric of all of Doctor Who, because he could not admit that he was not very good at his job. He wasn't the right person to do this. And instead of coming in, being a steward, being a custodian, whatever you want to put it, and just coming in, doing his thing with his doctor without fucking up any previous doctors, stuff created by his betters, he decided to fuck it all up because he wanted to take his ball and break your balls because he doesn't have any balls. I don't know. We know Jody doesn't have any balls, and neither does the Doctor anymore. So they think it should be number one, especially this year. Whatever fans think of this year, fuck that. The fandom itself has demonstrated both its strength and dedication, especially in the lockdown. And then we're talking about the watch parties. The watch parties just reminded everyone how good Doctor Who used to be. So it's 201st. Star Trek is 158th. It's a little high. Now, they had a TV ranking. And it was the top 23 TV shows. Out of the top 23, and there was only 23 TV shows in this entire fandom thing, Star Trek was, I believe, Doctor Who was 18, and I think Star Trek was 15. They all finished behind Friends, which is a canceled TV series, Breaking Bad, which is a canceled TV series, Game of Thrones, which is a canceled TV series. The Mandalorian was only number 4. And number 1, the number 1 fandom in all of television is Schitt's Creek or whatever it's called. The Witcher finished behind the Mandalorian, but ahead of everybody else. Star Trek, that healthy franchise that's getting 4th season, supposedly, finished 158th. 158th. So what we have here is some Star Trek merchandise. Let's go holiday gift shopping and see what the Star Trek franchise has to offer. The once mighty Star Trek franchise. I have Migos behind me. I have boxes full of Next Generation figures and ships. No more. What we have is pop vinyls and wine and silly Christmas sweaters. So this is, and let's focus on Star Trek Discovery here, shall we? All right, we got some bendy figs. Oh, original series. There you go. There's Uhura, Spock, McCoy, Captain McKirk. That's cool. All right. It's very 90s. It's very 90s, but okay. Then we have, what the fuck is this? Mr. Spock's little book of mindfulness, how to survive in an illogical world. Okay. $14 for this. And it's like mugs and Etsy shit and white t-shirts. Ooh. Star Trek cocktails, a stellar compendium. I'm going to get this for my kids. Star Trek cocktails. Oh, look. Grudge the cat on a coffee cup. Which anybody can make. Who would buy this shirt? You only got one real captain here. You got the Benedict Arnold of Star Trek and Michael Burnham. Oh! I would say that's a pretty accurate representation of her acting ability. Oh, that's a pop vinyl. Okay, sorry. Saru. Little flappy mushroom penis skin going on there. It looks like foreskin. I'm sorry. I mean, dude, does that not look like a penis? With little blue eyes staring at you. I mean, a messed up one. Maybe it's like Harvey Weinstein's, but it's a freaking penis. Then we have, what's this? Star Trek Search Quibbles with Tribbles, $14.95 from Star Trek Discovery. Oh, I read that. It's a puzzle book. It's a puzzle book with tribbles. So far for Discovery, we have 2 pop vinyls, a shirt, and a coffee cup. Oh, silly Christmas sweaters. But that's not Discovery, is it? Does it have the stupid line down the middle? No. More, what is this? Oh, masks. Masks. Original series personalized pint glass. Bags. What's this? Original series ship of the Delta blanket. A blanket. A tote bag. Oh, Cerritos. So there's some lower decks. You can get a Cerritos tote bag. Total ripoff of the Orville. Then you can take your itsy bitsies and have them scissor. You have Janeway and 7 of 9. And those two actors famously hated each other. This is cool. Okay. Like, here's the first thing. Okay. Now I have a light up. They have an ornament, an Enterprise ornament that lights up. It's very cool. But this, all right, cool. No problem with that. Sexiest ship ever created. God, that looks good. And then you have a Section 31 jacket, a jacket for the super secret organization. Tell your friends you're part of a super secret organization with your Section 31 fleece, where the only thing Star Trek on it is the number 31 on your left sleeve. And look at that picture of Georgiou. I mean, when I see that picture, I see a 98-pound woman who can flip 300-pound men with her left arm on the side. So we get a choo-choo train for $449. Join Lionel Trains to boldly go where no one has gone before with an offering of their Out of This World line of iconic Star Trek products. Whether you are a lifetime Star Trek fan or new to the fandom, Lionel's Star Trek Lionel Chief Train set is a cure for one of the most, is sure to be one of the most classic, the next generation pieces in your Star Trek collection. I have a Spider-Man train set like this. Fucking thing broke in like a week. Hopefully this one doesn't. I don't see like what's Star Trek on it. Oh, on the front of the train. Because, you know, when I think of Star Trek, I think of trains. Then we have Rock Love, Star Trek Rock. Okay. Another silly sweater. I would actually probably wear that on Christmas. But I won't buy it from them. The Artistry of Dan Curry. Okay, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That shit. The Art of Star Trek Discovery. This one is the one that caught me. The original series Star Trek Moonlight. All right, now we got to get on. Let's see if you can see it. It's right between, right there. I have that it's a salt rock. Okay. I've had them. I have got a bunch of them. I've had a bunch of them. And I've got one behind Q right there. You get them at Home Depot. So they're not original jack shit. You get that at Home Depot. That almost looks exactly like what I have on my shelf. And what? $70? I didn't see that. Hang on. Two natural Himalayan salt lamps. You can get them for $24 on Amazon. Oh, those sons of bitches. So what else do we have here? watches, wine. You can get wine. Now, this is, again, you can go put your own label on any wine anywhere for like 25 to 50 bucks, 190 bucks. I could make Nerdrotic wine tomorrow. So these are every time Doomcock and I, or Midnight's Edge, we bring up ratings, people tweet this shit at us. Like, they still make stuff for Star Trek. I'm going to get my kids this too. The Next Generation whiskey decanter set. Nerdrotic Jr. was really asking for that after he was crying a little bit because he was watching Star Trek Discovery, only because I made him do it. I'm an abusive father. Slippers, more slippers, and fake geeks. So that is your product line for Star Trek for the holidays, including a $70 original Star Trek mood light, which is actually a salt rock that you can get for $24. You can get two for $24 on Amazon. Fucking bastards, man. Terrible. Hey, what do you guys think about I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but it's like one letter. If I just add one letter, come on, die card. It's there. Charlize Theron campaigns for a lesbian version of Die Hard. Actress Charlize Theron, who recently appeared in Netflix The Old Guard, took to Twitter to campaign for a lesbian version of Die Hard. The idea of a lesbian version of Die Hard was pitched by Twitter user F Oasis on December 5th. I want them to make this. They wrote, a lesbian Christmas rom-coms are all well and good, but what I really want is a Die Hard, where Charlize Theron goes on a rampage to save her wife. Francis. I don't know what to say, Francis. I mean, like, I guess, never mind. Theron would get on board with the idea, responding to a tweet stating, "Where do I sign?" Now, you say it's just a tweet, and that's all it is. But we all know this is where these things start. And would you be surprised? As a matter of fact, I want this to happen as much as I want A-Force to happen, because it'll be such an abysmal failure. And it'd probably be funny. It'd probably be funny. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Porn. They probably already done it. Yes, they do. Or have. Where do I sign? Following Theron campaigning for the film, fellow actress Hannah Simone, who was known for her role as Cece in the new Girl TV series, also threw her hat in the ring. Is that what you threw in the ring? Was it your hat? Yeah. Maybe they're having a bit of fun, but every time we hear something like this, we go, oh. We're the Pirates film, didn't we just hear that Margot Robbie wants the Pirates to be LGBTQ plus? I think Ichibaka responded on Twitter with what I've responded. There's already been a Pirates movie. It's already better. But you know why? At this point, I think Charlize Theron and Die Hard would be, yeah, that wouldn't flop at all. That wouldn't flop at all. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? I am. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, censorship is coming for anyone who discusses a certain topic. We're going to wait till a little later in the broadcast to discuss that. Per new Apollo 13 astronaut Fred Hayes was black. Says hire him for $2. Oh, did they so they cast him with a black guy? I didn't know. I'm not like up to snuff on all my astronauts. But I don't remember seeing a black guy in Apollo 13. Like, I don't know what you're referring to there. Hiram. I don't know. Maybe somebody already covered this. Or I already got that one. But yeah, give me some context in the chat there, Hiram. Please. Read the collected works of Buck Rogers in the 25th century, all comic strips in one book. Wish we could get some aspects of the classics back. Did they collect it in one book? If they did, I want it, Nathaniel. I want it. I love Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. 247 Shades for $5. Let's hope The Witcher does not go down the path of second season Mandalorian. I think it might. It might. So see, that's another one of those controversial things. I liked The Witcher, but I didn't play the game. And at the time I watched it, I had just finished reading one book and it was kind of out of order, but I figured out what was going on. And I didn't mind the series as much because I thought the actress playing Yennefer, based on, the quartering videos I saw, I thought she was going to be terrible for the role. She turned out being okay, but I didn't like, I keep on wanting to say Cirilla. I didn't like the actress playing Cirilla very much. She wasn't terrible, but she didn't do much for me, and the scenes kind of bored me. I think we all liked it for Henry Cavill. We like to see, in fantasy, it's okay to have a sorceress and wizards and a guy with a sword slaying monsters. I'm okay with that. And that's why I mostly enjoyed it. But there was definitely, that first episode was woke as hell. Well, it was filled with intersectional feminism. And I said it. I'm like, I don't know. As a matter of fact, I was ready to hate it after the first episode. Then it grew on me and it got better as it went on. But was it perfect? No, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It had some good aspects and some horrible aspects. Based on what I've heard, and we, thanks to Lady Gravemaster, my producer, plucked a piece of audio out that we played on Friday Night Tights. I should have made a video on this. But Henry Cavill is preparing us for what we were afraid of in the first season. Remember, there was a lot of rumors, again, the quartering covered it, that The Witcher was going to be, that you were going to see this series through the women's perspective and not the Witcher's perspective. And that's what Lauren Hissrich was going to do. And apparently she either changed her mind or she got called in the office, or I'll know we need to do it this way. Well, apparently she's getting what she wants in season 2. And we're not going to see things from the Witcher perspective. And I have never played the game, but I read an article yesterday that came out 2 weeks ago. CD Projekt Red wants to do a Witcher 4 without Geralt. There will be no Geralt. Now, maybe his story ended in the third game cleanly. And again, I didn't play it. I'm not aware, but he is not going to be in Witcher 4. Smooth Jam California for £5. Excited for the MCU Spidey 3. Personally, I think I'd rather not see Tobey Maguire appear as Jake Parker just to help prop up Iron Boy's failing franchise. Yeah. That was one thing I was going to talk about today, and I'll talk about it. I love Tobey Maguire, Alfred Molina. Spider-Man 2 is damn near a perfect film. I would rather see a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and directed by Sam Raimi. You can even bring back Kirsten Dunst or whatever her name is. I'd be fine with that. Yeah. I hope you have your expectations very low on this one. We all saw what happened with Crisis on the CW. That's essentially what's going to happen, is you're going to get a little cameo. So they're signing on to come back. Maybe they're going off the Spider-Verse success a little bit, and you'll see Toby and Andrew Garfield in it a little more. But I am not happy until I see Nicholas Hammond, dude. Okay. No Nicholas Hammond, I'm not coming. because you want to talk about an actor who looked like Peter Parker, who looked like John Romita's Peter Parker. It was Nicholas Hammond. Looked exactly like him with the 70s hairdo. It seems a little much, but we got DC doing it as well. I can't crap on it. It's probably going to be fun, but it'll probably be a mess. And I don't know. I think when you do this in comic books, it makes sense when you've had decades to tell stories and to build up these characters. So when you see different timelines cross over, it's fun. You know, when you do a Contest of Champions or an Infinity Gauntlet crossover, or, you know, what they do in DC, Crisis on Infinite Earths, they're fun. They are, as big events that happen every decade or so. And then DC started doing crises every fucking week, practically. And then it takes but after they're done, you have to repeat that success. And that seems like going for broke. Now, maybe they feel like they need to get people back into it. I don't think Spider-Man, I'm not a fan of Iron Boy either, but it's a success. People like it a lot. So I can't deny that. I don't think they would need to do this with the Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 would have done better or done well anyway. But, you know, I didn't dislike the second movie as much as I disliked the first, and I liked Spider-Man in Civil War. I thought he was fine in Civil War. But I'm a comic book fan, so I don't like Spider-Man being a sidekick. He's not Robin. No, he's the head honcho in the Marvel Universe. Gomer Kyle, thank you for the $1.49 phallic unicorn. Now, I know some others might feel differently, and honestly, it sounds cool. It's better than let's bring in a female Spider-Man. If it's you bring in Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Alfred Molina, yeah, that's what I'd like to hear from Disney. That shit's exciting. As much as I don't like them propping up Iron Boy, it's better than A-Force or Female Blade or who we're going to gender swap this week. And we did talk about that quite a bit. You know, after the economy, you know, does what it does, they're going to have to focus on sure things. Now, I was kind of hoping the sure thing would have been Spider-Man 4, directed by Sam Raimi. I think that Toby is still young enough to get in shape for the role, and he could just do a one-off. Do a one-off to let Sam Raimi ride off into the sunset properly. All right. Somebody needs to tell these creatives, Kennedy, JJ, Kurtzman, and Chibnall, that try as they might, they'll never be Lenny Riefenstahl. No, they're going to try, though, NK33. They're going to try. It's not going to stop them. The agenda comes first. 52 movies a year for $4.99. Have you seen my white, yellow, and orange crayons? Oh, wait. I think I ate them on Twitter. Just kidding. Love what you do. 52 movies a year. Are you making a crack about candy corn? Hang on. Hold on a moment. Don't go anywhere. I got to make sure the credits don't pop up again.
Fair enough.
Boom. Hang on. Somebody sent me a big old bag. This is actually the first thing I've ate today, too. Every time you make a crack. The Geek Blend is a member at the proto-molecule level. Welcome. That's a good channel. Go check them out. They like those late night live streams. I'm watching. Sometimes Geek Blend, you're like the only guys live at like, you know, for me, it's like midnight. I was working on Picard till like 1 a.m. That's still a week away. I need to put out a couple of videos before that just to keep Mama Sousa happy. I've got a couple I've been working on. Not quite happy with them yet, though. How do I say this? Shady 10169 for $5. Hail, Gary. There is so much good content for the Exozone lately. Should we expect an episode soon? Yes. And the Exozone content has been amazing. But I'm going to save it for the Exozone. Yes. Drunk 3PO. Shout out to Drunk 3PO for $4.99. Hail, Candy Corn, brother. Thanks for defending me from the attack by Gina Carano. We will get through this. We will together. I know. That was a vicious attack by Gina Carano. And I'm just, you know what? I didn't block her, though. I didn't block her or mute her because I disagree with her on candy corn. It's amazing. People can disagree. It's so weird. You know what's funny? My wife, Mrs. Nerdrotic, my lovely wife of 18 years. I've known her since 1985. We do not agree on everything. I know. It's crazy. We don't agree on a lot of stuff politically. Yet, I still love her. I know, it's very complicated. Who would be surprised if Margot Robbie gets the Captain Karen role? Joey Bryant for $5. I wouldn't. Is anybody going to tell? I mean, Margot Robbie, she's a talented actress, and she did a very, very good job as Harley Quinn. But is it Margot Robbie's acting ability, or is it she's really hot? Now, she has the combination of being really hot and really talented, but there's a lot of talented pretenders out there. A lot. But not all of them are as hot as Margot Robbie. But don't tell her. It's her acting ability. Fat Steven Seagal for 2 Canadian pesos. When Marvel unsubs to Brie's channel, it's over. It's over, Johnny. I think Brie's videos are just, they're kind of boring, I guess. I haven't checked in lately. It just goes to show you can get that little bump, that help from YouTube, but you're eventually on your own after that. Mark C for $10. Is there any comic book collectors in the chat that have epic graphic novels of Western Blueberry drawn by Jean Garard, aka Mobius, and wish to sell? Please DM me. Again, Blueberry graphic novels. That's very cool. I hope you find somebody. All right, what's up, Destiny Captain? Long time no see. All right, we got another article to go over here. Oh no, we're gonna go. I hate putting somebody on blast. Let me see if I can do this without exposing the guy's name. I'll just read it to you. How's that sound? I don't like going after individuals on Twitter. It's a thing. As potentially douchey, it's not my thing. I like to focus on the big boys and girls, the Disney and Amazons. But this Twitter thread is worth pointing out. I thought it was a troll. But it's not. It's concerning Lord of the Rings. So there was a question asked by Calvin Johnson. He's not the person who responded. He asked, one of these franchises has to disappear forever. Which one are you losing? And it's Harry Potter, Star Wars, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Lord of the Rings. Antifa responds, in a surprise move, I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings. Liberals are going to be annoying basically no matter what, but there will always be a Rowling. But Lord of the Rings gives conservatives an ongoing excuse to be in geek circles and also helped turbocharge 2 decades of reactionary fantasy tropes. The gatekeeping, I believe, is conservatives are fake geeks and shouldn't be allowed in geek spaces. Anything that gives them a sliver of refuge should be deleted from history. Lord of the Rings, Battlestar Galactica, Warhammer 40K, Skyrim. I would be unrepented with my time travel eraser. I would make the paranoid ravings of a Gamergate seem naive. I would delete all of their beloved franchises from history and stride over the ashes, proud in my cultural carnage. I would leave conservative geeks huddled in a corner, replaying the last metal albums and drawing swords. And then I would pluck those bad drawings of dudes in armor with giant overlay ornate swords from their hands and delete the concept of swords from history, just so they'd have nothing to play with but mud. No mercy for conservative geeks. So I'm like, this guy's a troll. He's a troll. Nope. He's an anarchist. He's an anarchist. And supposedly a lapsed physicist. Transhumanist. And radically uncool. Well, I'll agree with that. He looks like you would imagine, though. The Antifa part gives it away. Sam Vimes has the best response, though. How many times were you kicked in the balls as a child? So this isn't the first time I've heard this. This has been going around for a while. And Lord of the Rings is a concern. We got the casting last week, right? And we saw what the casting is. Let's go over the casting. And I see, the guys and gals at the OneRing.net are trying very hard to be diplomatic. I don't need to be. I'm grateful for that. I can just tell you what I think. Where's Amazon is watching? Where is the casting? Here we go. Just do this. This is it. And let's get that adjusted. Or better yet, we can use this one. That's even better. We got the chat there. Okay. So here's the Lord of the Rings casting. We don't know what they will be adapting out of the Second Age. The OneRing.net was speculating heavily that we would be seeing, they would focus season 1 on Numenor. I don't see them doing that. That would be very complicated. There is some speculation it might be like American Horror Story, where each season will take place in a different era. That would be interesting. But there's like the elephant in the room. There's the elephant in the room. Now, there's Easterlings. They don't have to be all white. But in the statement from the very inexperienced showrunners, Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne, whose only work has been working for Jar Jar Abrams. Only work has been working for Jar Jar Abrams, doctoring up scripts, and their first and only credit was Star Trek Beyond. Then they were given this show, the biggest show ever. Their second word in describing, second or third word, was diversity. Diversity. So I spent an hour and a half Googling to see if Tolkien had ever used that word. I couldn't find it. I mean in relation to anything, the word diversity. Now, is Middle-earth diverse? Yes, of course. We got dwarves. We've got men, and the men are probably diverse. We've got the elves. We've got hobbits. But Lord of the Rings was supposed to be a mythology for England. It wasn't even, he didn't set out to write fantasy. He invented the genre or refined it, if anything. And there's people who are experts, much bigger experts than me, can break this down. Did I expect a lily white cast? No, I did not. Lady Greymaster pointed out it looks like they have the bare minimum, and this is the secondary cast. So the one on the top left you might recognize if you watched Westworld. I can't say I recognize a lot of these people. It could work. My biggest concern is, of course, bad robots involvement. And the wondering.net has done some live streams on this. Apparently, Brian Cogman has fulfilled his duties. The one from, he worked on Game of Thrones. He was there as a consultant and he is gone. I don't know much. Apparently they're well into filming and we're supposed to get our first episode in 2022. Hope it's the greatest show ever made. But I don't know if you could make this show now. Based on what I read earlier, based on everything I've heard, and based on what the creatives in Hollywood listen to and what they believe, I don't know if you can pull this show off. A show that was meant to be mythology written by a devout Catholic. Amazon Studios has confirmed 20 additional cast members who have joined the streamers, The Lord of the Rings TV series, an adaptation of J.R. Tolkien's fantasy novels production, that sprawling drama, which was interrupted. God, I can read. The production of the sprawling drama, which was interrupted by the coup, is currently underway in New Zealand. It resumed in September. British actor-comedian Lenny Henry, who I've heard of, Ozark and Westworld's Peter Mullen, and Lloyd Owen, You, Me, and the Apocalypse, Augustus Prew, CBS's Pure Genius, The Lord of the Rings movie franchise, Peter Talt, Benjamin Walker, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, which I watched, and I liked it for what it was, Cynthia Adal Robinson, and Simone Morales, who I remember from Spartacus, are among the new additions, along with a bunch of other people I don't know. There's the rest of the cast there. Can you see it? I want to make sure you can see it. The 20 new Lord of the Rings cast members join the 15 announced by Amazon in January. Robert R. Mayo, Owen Arthur. Of course, Benjen Stark. The guy who played Benjen Stark is going to be in it, and all speculation is he is playing Sauron. And I don't know if he's going to be early Sauron or not. I think Numenor would be a good prologue. I don't know if it would be good. There's so much. I might make a video breaking down what I would do. They're not going to listen to me. But based on what I've heard, I don't know how this thing can succeed unless they completely ignore everyone. And that's all I've ever, you don't have to listen to me. Don't listen to me at all. Just don't listen to them. And make what Tolkien would want to make. Every move you make, every breath you take, you should be asking, what would Tolkien do? What would Tolkien do in this situation? And I don't want to hear words like fidelity. Spirit is good. You can make changes as long as Tolkien is what you have in mind at first, and not like, oh, we need to insert agenda here. We need to cuck Elrond. You know, like that is the kind of shit that will drive me crazy. And I have been very consistent that I will dedicate my channel to bringing down the $1 trillion Amazon if they screw this up. The Lord of the Rings series, which is filming its first season, has already been renewed for season 2. That's going to be kind of normal for all streaming series, by the way, because they're so expensive. Is led by J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, joined by filmmaker J.A. Boyana. Now, there was a live stream yesterday that the One Ring Net started that said Boyana is done with Lord of the Rings. Now, the way that's a little clickbaity, and that's what you need to do in this business, by the way. Sounds to me like he's done filming. He directed the last Jurassic Park film, which I did not see, who is directing the first 2 episodes and serving as executive producer alongside his creative partner, Belene, I can't pronounce that last name, Lindsay Weber, and Bruce Richmond. Here's the cast, which they break down, which is whatever. This is the first announcement we've gotten from Amazon in over 6 months. And they want to take this show, the SJWs, the NPCs, the identitarians, they want it. They want to take this down. There will be so many. Lord of the Rings is to white and to this and to that. And we've already had this for years, by the way. If you actually Google J.R.R. Tolkien and diversity, you get a bunch of articles that have a problem with. Here's one. This is one from July. We'll go over it. It's an older article, but we can go over it here. It's from Screen Rant. The 10 problems with Lord of the Rings. Let's just go over them, shall we? Which is... God, I saved way too much stuff lately. Where'd it go? All the details. Ah, here we go. There it is. Lord of the Rings, lack of diversity and 9 other problems with the series by Amanda Steele. This was July 25th, 2020. The Lord of the Rings series is considered by many to be one of the most influential and best fantasy series of all time, but it does have its issues. Amanda, are you the arbiter of all storytelling? She must be. The Lord of the Rings series is considered to be... Didn't you just say that? Okay, so... I'm seeing the Lord of the Rings series is considered to be most influential. Lord of the Rings series is considered to be most influential. Fucking word salad. So let's go over these 10 problems, shall we? I couldn't even get past 9. Sam is essentially Frodo's servant. Yes, he is. What gave it away? When Sam called him Master or Mr. Frodo? Or when his pops said, when he was in the Green Dragon, said that you got to stay. I think I'm trying to paraphrase what he said. He called Frodo and Bilbo his betters, essentially. While the relationship between Sam and Frodo might seem to some like an endearing, close friendship, there are actually some uncomfortable underpinnings between their relationship. If you dig into the culture of hobbits, Frodo is richer and is higher class than Sam. Yes, he was. In many ways, Sam sees himself as secondary to Frodo. Yes, he does. And often acts accordingly. And Frodo doesn't always treat him that well. Yes, there is a lot more nuance to their relationship and the themes of friendship in The Lord of the Rings, but it's not unrealistic to see the problematic class structure. This is why storytelling is dying. Because if you find it problematic for a fictional story to represent class or class structures that are fictional based on an older time without that context, then maybe stories aren't for you. Yes, Sam called him Master, refers to him as Master in the books because that's his boss. Frodo's his boss. He pays for and that's the way it was done in that class structure back then. So I read, so I heard. And that's what lends the authenticity. Okay. We're not going to make a fantasy. I tell you what, fantasy will never work if you try to use modern sensibilities, class structure, or anything, because fantasy, because of Tolkien, was based partially on feudalistic societies, blah, blah, blah. You guys know. And again, this is supposed to be English, and of a certain time. A lot of characters are sexist. But let's just completely forget what or how Tolkien wrote Éowyn in the 40s. I don't know when he wrote that chapter. I don't know if it was in the late 40s or the 50s, but it was in a time where people were writing chapters like that. But let's blow over that. Fucking lame. And by all means, the next war, I want a female lead. Arwen gives up her her immortality for a man. Terrible. Absolutely awful. I mean, it's not just any man. It's fucking Aragorn. Using fantasy races as a metaphor for real races, real race relations. One problem that many sci-fi series have is the metaphor for bigotry, especially when it comes to race, are used instead of actually addressing the problem in more direct way. While racial tensions between the elves and dwarves might seem fictional, they can tie into real-world racism, and the way this is handled isn't the best. Really, because I think it's pretty open-ended and subject to interpretation by the reader. So maybe you're racist. I don't know. I just saw, you know what I saw? And maybe I'm just dumb. I saw dwarves and elves. I didn't see anything else than that. I think Tolkien set up why there was a division between these two races that used to be very close. And I think he followed through and paid it off and showed a reconnection through two characters later on in Lord of the Rings. Did Tolkien base it on, I don't know, the infinite numbers of examples we have through our past? Maybe. Did he have, I mean, was he, yes, he was basing it on other forms of mythology, by the way. Again, not a scholar in this. But when I read the book and when I watch the movies, I just think of dwarves and elves. I don't think of anything else. And you know what? When I see an orc, I don't think of black people. But maybe, what's her name again? Maybe Amanda does. I don't know. The existence of orcs. Going off this idea, the very existence of orcs in the series, especially given how the legacy of orcs has been used, has some issues. They are presented as a race of beings that is purely evil, and they are given no autonomy of choice. They are seen as purely monsters, and the words used to describe them are pretty loaded when you dissect them. Again, they explain their origins, and they are just a bad guy. You know what? I can't get into Tolkien's head, but when I see an orc, I think of when I was a kid, I thought of a demon. That's all I thought of. I didn't think of any people, and I just see orcs. Are they really fleshed out in the movies? Not really. It's probably more of a class thing than a race thing. If you want to use and they mentioned that if you see what their accents are based on. But again, this is a fictional story. It's a fictional story. And this is why we can't have nice things. That was a saying from a few years ago, but it's more applicable now. Oh, whoops. I just dropped my cap there. There isn't any LGBTQ plus representation. Just going to go right by that one. Okay. Nope, there isn't. There are no main female characters. And then they put Galadriel right there. Are we talking about the movie Lord of the Rings? Okay. There used to be a time where it's okay to make a movie for dudes. And it's still okay, in my opinion. Just Hollywood's unwilling to make it. So independent filmmakers out there, go get them, because there's going to be a big opening for you to maybe have a chance, because Hollywood is making they're taking less creative chances every day. And the more they adhere to bullshit like this, the more opportunity you're going to have to make something that people might still want to watch. Because when I go to Lord of the Rings, I'm not looking for it to be used as anybody's platform. I like the story. And I do believe it was Tolkien who said, I want to quote the man correctly. I cordially dislike allegory in all its manifestations, and always have done so since I grew old and wary enough to detect its presence. I much prefer history, true or feigned, with its varied, freaking pop-ups, with its varied applicability to the thought and experience of readers. I think that many confuse applicability with allegory, but the one resides in the freedom of the reader, and the other in the proposed domination of the author. So quit projecting your own shit into a story. Of course, they bring up the Haradrim, and then there aren't any characters of color, which was number one. And then she puts in an orc. What's she trying to say? Here's the deal. You also can't. Somebody sent me, I think it was Danica sent me that, and this is part of that TTE thing I was going over. You can't kill LGBTQ characters, and you basically can't kill unless it's they're putting so many restraints on their trait. You can't kill as Hollywood says it, not me, people of color and LGBTQ members anymore on film ever for anything. Well, then let's stop doing murder dramas. Let's stop with, fuck fantasy. Forget fantasy. Forget sci-fi. Let's just have everybody in gray onesies. They're all gender fluid, and they're all sitting at a table talking about nothing. That's what art's going to be from Hollywood anyway. Jesus Christi. 200-watt studio for $5. I had a dream last night that I was at a stand-up comedy workshop. I left forgetting my backpack, and I tried to go back, but lost. And I was lost in a coal factory. 200-watt studio. You can't eat too late. When you eat too late, you have dreams like that. I'm guessing it was Italian food. Akinen, 1876 for $5. I don't even know what this denomination. What's a BGN? I'm going to call it a biggin. 5 biggins. Hail, Gary. Greetings from Bulgaria. Oh, it's a Bulgarian peso. Lucasfilm should have adapted Knights of the Old Republic and Legacy comics. Such great stories. Yep, that's all they had to do. But Kathleen Kennedy was hired, and I know she had a ginormous chip on her shoulder. So she wanted to prove herself. And she played to her strengths, which aren't creativity, but are agenda, which are pointing out things being wrong with things. And she failed miserably, but now her job might be saved. Her job might be saved because of little baby Yoda. And that's how dumb Disney is. But think about it. Disney, like, she's failed miserably, but if you fire her now, you're looking like you're firing a female CEO during a successful show. But is it successful? To Star Wars standards? Is it? Is it? More importantly, is it a quality TV show? Can you say that this is a quality TV show? And I mean in its writing, because I can't. Destiny Captain for $4.99. Hey, Gary, haven't been able to participate in a while. Live stuff. How? Hope you and yours are well. And I hope you are. And I'm glad you're here, Destiny Captain. Man, I remember seeing you in Vegas so long ago when we could actually go places. I had to cancel the meetup, but I'm seriously thinking about organizing a protest. But there's a protest on Saturday. The Pineapple Restaurant's doing a protest on Saturday up in LA. And it is, hang on, I got to make sure I'm not blasting my messages here. Saturday, December 12th at noon. I am going to try to make it. If I get my videos done by then, I'm going to probably be there. It's at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. They said, urging our government to keep our safe businesses open, wear green and wear a mask, and absolutely be safe. And so I might go. Nicholas Horton for £5. Hail, Gary. How's things? And it's not that long until The Expanse Season 5 premieres next Wednesday, the 16th. I will be live right after that episode. I will be live right here after that episode. No, and I'm things are well. Fix the screen, you boomer. I'm sorry about that. I've got a bunch of fix the screens. I hope you guys didn't have to pay too much for that. Bogue, I almost want to refund you. Thank you for the 20 pounds or 20 Mexican pesos. Greg Spencer, thank you for the 5 Canadian pesos. John, thank you for reminding me to fix the screen for $1.99. Oh man, never mind. Black screen was better. So he says, Commander Ed Stricker of Shadow, no Star Trek Pucard elder abuse enema bags? No, Commander, but there's still time till Christmas. There's still time. Vintage Comics Love for $5. Hey, at least Michael Burnham doll shows more expression than she does. This is true. This is absolutely true. Andrew Knapp for $5. If Bruce Willis declares himself a woman, Die Hard will be retroactively be about a lesbian. This is true. I think the retroactive transitioning could solve a lot of problems. Matthew Trump, welcome to the Jaloja level. We got a member stream a little later this week. We're going to do a surprise one, although it's not a surprise now that I freaking told you, is it? Sci-Fi Freak for $5. If doing Babylon 5, start with the TV movie from the beginning. If you can, we'll clear up some stuff, but everything, one of my favorites, in my opinion. There you go. We Az and I need to go over a couple lists, but sure. I mean, if that's where I should start, I'll start. For 20 Mexican dollars. The Witcher is a ripoff of Elric. Yes, it is. Ask Razorfist. I'm very well aware of it, Bogue, but thank you. Rogue for $5. I compare these agenda-driven creative fools to that of a goat who lacks an electric fence. Despite getting zapped, they keep going back for another lick. Or the Mandalorian trying to go get Baby Yoda while he's sending his force beacon. Is it like that too? Samurai for $2. Israeli guy said we made treaties with Galactic Federation. Yes, I did. I have the article and I will be going over it on the Exozone. Yes, we will. Bamagrad for $5. Hail, Gary. Was that a bag of candy corn from the Halloween care package I sent? If so, it means Lady Neurotic took custody of the Almond Joys. Bamagrad, she took custody of those Almond Joys a long time ago, dude. Yes, it is. Thank you, Bamagrad. I was going to mention it on the Square Up. AZ and RMB showing off their toys, Gary. Hold my beer, says Matt Guy for £2. Oh, I say hold my beer. I'm not going to show off my toys yet. Not yet. I did get some new stuff. Just bought a racehorse for $30 and now watching Gene Wilder's Young Frankenstein, says Susan Dolan for $5. You bought a racehorse for $30? Is it alive? Young Frankenstein's brilliant. Alpha Omega Records for $5. Being an Englishman, I'm sick of people appropriating, demonizing, and erasing our history, our culture. Tolkien is rolling in his grave. He is. He is. And I understand Amazon's dilemma. I do. But you paid $1 billion for this. And if you bend the fucking knee to woke culture with Lord of the Rings, and the OneRing.net made no secret in an article. We're here for access. We're only here for access. So they did a live stream, and I like the guys, but they're like, this. One of the guys said, this is what Tolkien would have wanted. Oh, really? That's not true. That is not true. We'll never know that, but you should know that. OneRing.net. They did publish a book back in the 60s called The Collected Works of Buck Rogers. I'll ask Santa's husband and hook you up, says Nathaniel Larson for $5. Get David to do it. Well, there's guns in it, though, so he might not let me have it. Stephen Kraft for $10. Hail, Gary. Sorry about Doctor Who rated poorly. Not a Whovian, but I see why it is dying. Why watch a heroic series about a race of Time Lords who killed a little girl to steal regenerations? Yes. A little girl over and over again. Oh, don't search the web for, it said Time Lords. That's funny. Illyris Workshop for $9.99. Sam and Frodo's relationship is derivative of standard 19th century British house norms. Houses and wealth were handed down through families and their servants and maids, etc., who chose to continue to work there because they liked the family. Master Gamgee. And they loved Sam. Okay. They loved Sam, and Sam treated them like their boss because he was getting paid. So he worked in their garden and he did other things. But no, he was also being ordered around by Aragorn, who told him to pack the horse. And Frodo would wake up and tell Sam to make breakfast. But he also told Pippin to help too, who was his cousin, because Frodo acted like a boss. He was. And the Frodo in the movies is a lot different than the Frodo in the books, who's a little more pompous and a little more forceful. Straight up a dick to Gollum at times, but he had to be. And they left out the whole, promising on the ring and the curse of the ring on Gollum. He swore on the precious, but they go into it more in the books, obviously. Because they liked the family of masters of the house, Sam was Frodo's gardener. Just watch any BBC period piece, i.e. Downton Abbey, says Oilers Workshop. Absolutely. Thank you for the $9.99 for. That's the way it was back then. That's what it was based on. It would be problematic if people treated people like that now, I guess. And I hate to use that fucking word. Fuck that word. I don't want to use it anymore. But it's not a problem in this story, because this story, for one, was written a long time ago, and it's based on a society that was even older. Plus, it's not real. It's fake. It's a fictional story. I just bought a quarter scale Mikey Spock figure. Why? It was made by an 84 lumber. It's beautiful, 16 inch tall plank of wood. It completely captures the character's range of emotions. It is. Be careful of splinters, though, Mark C. Thanks for the $10. Gomer Kyle for $2. Quality. A word Hollywood forgot a long, long time ago. Indeed. Eric K for $4.99. Phyllis did declare himself as a meat popsicle. Does that count? You mean Willis? Does that count as one gender? Yes, Eric K, it does. I'm sure it does. Or maybe he just has a meat popsicle. No, in the beginning is full of spoilers for the first season of Babylon 5. Don't watch it until season 5. Start with the gathering of seasons 1 through 4. It's just 200-watt studio for $5. I love that the Babylon 5 fans have given me and Az like 17 different lists to watch what order to watch it in. But none of them have told us to watch it in the broadcast, the broadcast or follow the broadcast schedule. Crow T Robot from Satellite of Love for $5. If they made Tolkien woke, I'll be making a trip to Amazon headquarters. Oh, I'll join you. The Twinkie Kid for $4.99 says the only thing missing in the Mando yakety sax clip is a pissed off slave Leia chasing the stormtroopers. I know, right? Oh, God. Lighten up, Francis. James Seabright for $5. Watch Babylon 5 in the broadcast order, just like the rest of us did in the pre-internet days. Word. Thank you. I'm watching all your reactions in here now. I was cracking myself up making it. I didn't know if it was that funny or not, but had to do it. I'll share it on Twitter. I'm sure I won't get in trouble for that. Yes, Gary, the trailer for Cobra Kai 3 is out now. Trailer is on YouTube. Nicholas Horton, I will watch it. I can't go over it here, but I'm excited. I'm excited for Cobra Kai. I'll cover it over on Nerdrotic Live. So keep an eye out tonight for the Mandalorian review of the last 2 episodes. It won't be that long. I got a couple of other videos coming out. Then, of course, Friday Night Tights is Friday. And if I get all my work done, there will be an Exozone. And it's going to, might be long because we now have all the UFO stuff to cover, plus all the ancient civilization stuff I have to cover. They found this ancient rock cave in Australia. It was discovered in 2006. But this rock shelter, it's not a cave, it's a shelter made by, dug out by man 50,000 years ago. So as each day passes, there is more and more evidence of an ancient civilization, which excites the hell out of me. Plus they found Quran Tepe, which is older than Göbekli Tepe. And that's not woo-woo. This is like real shit. That's really exciting and fun. And of course, there's the Israeli UFO stuff that's really cool. And then there's the F-18 that caught a pretty interesting picture, I thought. And we're going to go over all of that. So thank you to Lady Greymaster for producing this episode. Thank you to Perry Chan for creating clips. Thank you to my Modrotics, Eric K, Mark Lerzeth, Chris Persia, Lori Wilson. Who else is here? I think Problem Being was on a live stream, so I don't think he jumped in. Thanks again to Az for having Nihilist Shadow. Thanks for being here. Thanks again to Az for having me on yesterday. And thanks for all your support through all this craziness. It looks like a lot of it has, we're past it. We're past a lot of it. And since I am at home by myself, I can get a lot more work done. And I need to go do that right now. So I'm going to take off. Thanks again to everyone who left a super chat. I did record the super chat square up for the last couple of live streams. It'll be out tomorrow morning instead of Friday morning. So look out for that. And thank you for liking and sharing this video. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the new members. I want you all to have a great day. I'll let you know if I show up to that protest on Saturday, and I will see you for sure Friday and hopefully tomorrow night on the Exozone on Nerdrotic Live. Ciao. No, I hit the wrong one. Bye.
Nerderotic.com.